After what feels like an absolute eternity, today is the day we are beginning the process of putting the motor back together. Okay, it's kind of like I already started this, but I didn't really make a full video. It was complicated. Anyway, a couple days ago we did a valve job on the heads. We kind of redid, took all the heads apart, the valves out, cleaned everything up, new valve seals, ground down the valve surface, if you will. And then we did the comp cams, beehive springs in there for our upgraded cams. All that's back together. It's cleaned up, ready to go. We have the fun job now of piston rings. This is where it might get a little bit complicated. Now we have our ring set from Total Seal. We have the specifications for what to gap them to. We do have to file the rings for that. We do have our ring filer. So after doing some research, consulting the sheet of specifications, our top ring, we're gonna put at 18 thousandths of an inch gap. The bottom ring, I think we're gonna put at 20 thousandths. It's kind of confusing though. I'll show you why. Now, according to Total Seal, that's kind of the math for how to calculate the gap. The top and second are the same, which is very interesting. Everything I've seen has said you want the second ring to be just a little bit looser, like 2 thousandths of an inch looser, to prevent any ring fluttering, if you will, so gases can kind of escape. But if they're made of different materials, then they might expand differently. So I think we might gap them both at around 18 thousandths of an inch. They're rated by that math for 16 thousandths of an inch. Always better to go a little more, and then it gives us a little bit of leeway if at some point we want to boost the car. Which we might. In other news, if you've been following along, parts are at the powder coaters right now. Should be getting a call from Ford any day for the bolts for the main caps on the engine. This weekend, price is coming down, and we'll see how deep we get. We are going to assemble the motor. We just got to clean up the piston ring grooves in the pistons, install the rings, and then we're good to go. So I'll hone the cylinders too, I forgot about that. But before we get to filing these rings down, I'm going to show you all some of the videos I took from doing the valve job, which was honestly, it was one of the most fun things we've done in this build so far. But we're going to cut back a couple days, and you can kind of see how we did that process. Today is valve job day. We are redoing the valve train, the valves on this thing, just to make it pretty much new. So I'll show you what we're up to. So we have our valve spring compressor. We're taking the old springs off. As you can see right here, we have our new comp cam springs, which are larger, more lift. All the valves and springs are out. So here is the valve. This is the exhaust side. You see there's some carbon on the valves. We're gonna clean all that up. The intake side is much cleaner. So we're gonna clean them up. We got some grinding compound. So we're gonna clean everything up, the valves. We gotta take out the valve seals now, and then we can start putting things back together. Now comes the time in redoing the valves. You see we have cutting grease on there. This is the last one. We're going to put it in its home. Now usually you'd use these suction cups, but we're cheating a little bit with the drill. It's as simple as sticking it on, and we're going and reworking that channel down in there. Now comes all the fun stuff. We're putting the valves back in along with the new comp beehive springs. These are going to allow us to run the bigger cams with no issues. Now this part, it's kind of difficult just because things are tiny. So we have the retainers all good to go, which means we're going to go ahead all slowly with 2 hands release the spring compressor. As we release the spring compressor, the tension will take up, and those retainers are going to hold everything in place where they need to be. All right, you can see the retainers are now in, spring compressor is free, and that spring is in there all on its own. Now that is the gist of doing all the valves and the valve springs on these engines. It's really not that complicated. So we're going to go ahead and do the other, how many do we got? 8, 7, other 7 valves or whatever it is, to go ahead and finish off this head. On to the piston rings now. So how this works, you get the ring, you put it on here, you spin your little ring file, and it files away a little bit of the ring, so you can get in here, test fit in the cylinder, and then we'll use our feeler gauge to see what the gap is. I did just realize before I started this though that I forgot to get a file. I need a little file, so I don't want to score the cylinder wall. We have to file down the ring where we've kind of filed away, if that makes sense. We got to file it down so we don't have any sharp edges that can score the cylinder wall. I forgot to get one, and I don't have any sandpaper. I know. What kind of, I don't, sandpaper. Anyway, we might have to wait. I'm gonna keep looking, but this might have to be a tomorrow thing now. In the meantime though, we did get another box full of bolts. So we have all our ARP bolts. We have like cam bolts, harmonic balancer, and the main side cap bolts. Also, oil pan gasket, which we are obviously gonna need. Yeah, definitely don't have anything to file down those piston rings, which is very disappointing. Whatever. So what we're probably gonna do is Friday, which is in 2 days from now, probably already when you're watching this video, we're gonna go ahead and probably try to knock out all of them. Now this is gonna be the most time-consuming, tedious process of the entire build, is getting this done. But let me give you a quick little timeline of the goal for this. Here's what I'm wanting to do. So this weekend, I want to get all the piston stuff figured out. I want to get them in. I want to get the crank in, everything buttoned down in the bottom end. The heads, we're ready to go. Those are ready to go down. I have the head gaskets. I have everything that we need to get this ball rolling. I would love to have everything put together, except for, I guess, the timing stuff. That's going to be another kind of slightly difficult-ish part. We're gonna have to grind down the cam gears and stuff, get them degreed properly. We got to get the degree kit, all that. After the piston rings, degreeing is gonna be the next kind of semi-difficult thing. Well, we're gonna get it done. It's gonna be okay. So the timeline, we're gonna have the bones of the engine assembled this weekend. Next weekend, hopefully, it seems too good to be true. Hopefully we can have it in the car. That would be nice. We're gonna give it our best shot. The degreeing might take a little bit of time. We're gonna get it done though. Once the degreeing is done, everything's a piece of cake as long as we have stuff back from the powder coater. Now, in other news about the truck, we have a few small issues. You can see rock light and then no rock light. So I've known this has been going on for a while. It's been kind of off and on. Now I think it's for real. It's off this time. So we're gonna go get a wheel well liner for the back of the truck, which I've been meaning to get for a while. That's gonna happen here in the next couple weeks, probably when the Mustang motor's done and I cannot buy parts for it because it's been running me dry. Also, the front drive shaft, the replacement drive shaft, the second replacement is on the way. Should be here like any day now, so we can get four-wheel drive back. Hopefully this one lasts more than 2 days. If it doesn't, then we're going a different brand. We made it to Friday, and I have to admit, I am just a little bit nervous because today is the day. It's ring filing. We got our setup here. We got our ring file. We got some sandpaper so we can file down any burrs, pistons so we can make sure they're square in there. And we get all our rings, the top grooves, second, and the bottom, which is the oil ring and all that kind of stuff. So we did go ahead and pick up a tool to clean the ring grooves. I figured to make it a little easier. I hope it'll make it easier. We're gonna give it a shot, and then we can go piston by piston. I wanna, if I can get, might be optimistic, half of them done, we're gonna count that as a win. So what we're gonna do, the gap wise, top, we're gonna put at 18 thousandths. That's kind of, you know, the recommended or whatever minimum is 16 thousandths, but we're gonna leave a little room just in case you wanna boost it. Second groove, I think we're gonna go to 20 thousandths. This recommends the same though, so we might end up doing 18 on those as well. Bottom groove is just has to be a minimum of 15 thousandths, so we're gonna get as close to that as we can. I've kind of been practicing a little bit on just a throwaway ring. I think we're just about ready. We're gonna go piston by piston, painstakingly, and get this done. Hopefully this weekend, Monday, 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. Hopefully this weekend we can assemble the motor. I know it's kind of a crazy idea. It's been so long coming. I don't really know whether to say it was harder than I thought or I just took a lot of time, but it's like 2.5 hours later and we've done one piston. But I'm glad to say that we've done one piston. Here she is, all good to go. It was not fun filing the rings. Good news though, we don't have to file the oil rings, which is nice. Only the top 2, which means we only have 14 more rings to go. Yes, the math's correct. 14 rings to go, and then we'll be there, and we can install the motor. With that, the motor is getting installed this weekend, as long as I can get all these freaking rings filed. So I went over a little bit, so it turns out we're going to 20 for the top ring and 21 on the bottom ring. Yeah, it's a learning curve. We should be a-okay though. That is still within acceptable range for the size of the bore. Very close, but it's still within the range, and we could run boost down the road if we want to. That's going to become like way down the road. For now though, motor in car next weekend. That's the goal. Whether it happens or not, you'll have to hit that subscribe button and see. But until then, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It really does mean a lot. We are getting close. We're having a good time. We're just going to keep on crushing it, and I hope you keep on crushing it, and I'll catch y'all very soon.